Hi, this is Elena with Black Sheep 303 Creative, and today I'm going to show you how to make a very colorful card using just one stamp set, a variety of inks, and a few dice to make it a really pretty but easy card. This is very beginner friendly. So this is the stamp set I'm using. It is the Hero Arts HeroScape's Color Layering Tulip Field Stamp Set. And I've got my A2 sized white Neenah Solar White card base here. Well, it's just a card panel. Sort of paper taped down or blue taped down into my MISTI to keep it in place. I've got kind of a corner going, and then I got some tape on either side to hold it down. And now I am inking up the second from the bottom stamp there on the left using Concord and 9's Parsley ink. So this is the more detailed layer of the tulip stems, and this is the one that Hero Arts on the packaging suggests that you start with, so that is why I am using that one. And now I have lined up the stamp on the very bottom, which is the more solid stamp of the stems from the tulip field, and I'm inking this in a lighter color. It is Concord and 9's Sprout ink. And this is my first time stamping these, so I'm kind of being a little bit aggressive with my MISTI here. I am standing up and pushing down on it. But it creates a really cool look. Like, see how it layers together. So you just have to make sure you use lighter colors on the more solid layers. Like, this is the more solid tulip layer. And you do have to line them up kind of carefully. And so I'm stamping this in Catherine Pooler's Limoncello, and then the more detailed layer, now I am going to stamp in Pinkfresh Studio's Apricot ink. So you can see I'm kind of all over the place with my ink brands, but that's okay. There is nothing that says you can't do that, and I apologize for a little bit of the bumping going on there. And that is kind of the completed look, and it's really cool. It's not, I don't know, I wouldn't say it's super detailed. It's a little more impressionistic, which I like. I think it's kind of cool. And it's a different look. It's not your typical look for stamps, which tend to be either sort of cute or highly realistic in my experience. So I like this version. All right, now I have lined up the two. I'm stamping the two stems to fill in the panel. And you can see I got a kind of a line there of the dark green. Now I did complete it with obviously all the ink colors, but there is that kind of weird line. So Concord and 9th ink is water reactive, and I knew that just from my recent experience. So I'm taking a damp, this brush is not wet, it is just damp. And I'm dotting a little bit on the Parsley ink because I know that that's going to lighten it up a little bit. And so I just thought I would try this to see if it worked. And lo and behold, it did. Like, it pretty much got rid of that line. So cool. And then I just went back in with the Parsley ink on my brush and just added in a tiny bit more in the front, just because that actually got lightened up a little bit too much. So you'll see, like, when it's dry, you can't even tell there was a line there. And that I thought was a pretty cool trick. So I definitely wanted to share that with you guys. Just make sure the brush is not wet. It's just a tiny bit damp. And then, because I tend to be a little perfectionistic, I went in with my Limoncello on my brush and just filled in a few of the little white spots where I didn't quite line up the bigger tulip stamp with the rest of the field. Now for my background, I'm going to do a blue sky. So I have trimmed down the tulip field, and I'm trying to determine where on this panel of Concord and 9's white cardstock I need to stop my sky. And so I am using my life-changing blender brush and Distress Oxide in Tumbled glass in order to create like a blue sky. So I'm just going to blend this on over and over until I get it sort of filled in. And once I'm mostly happy with it, I'm going to switch over to Broken China, which is a slightly darker shade, and just try to darken up the very top edge of the sky. And it's super subtle because, in a blue sky during the day, you don't really notice that color change, but it is there, and it adds just a tiniest bit of extra depth. And so this Concord 9th white cardstock, as I've mentioned in a few other videos, is really, really smooth and really easy to blend on it. So it's kind of my new favorite. So I'm just blending back over with the tumbled glass to smooth it all out. And that is my sky. And here's how I'm going to layer on the tulip field that I just fussy cut out myself with a tiny white border there. Now I'm using the cloud that also comes in the stamp set, and I'm stamping it in white pigment ink over the sky background. I wanted to have some very subtle, barely there clouds, and so this kind of did the trick with the pigment ink because they are very, very subtle. Like you almost don't even see them, and that's really what I was going for. Now these are all my components. So I've got my trimmed out tulip field, I got some hot air balloons that I stamped, and then this is the greeting also in the stamp set that I have die cut out with the second smallest die in the dotted scallop circles die set from Elizabeth Craft Designs. And I stamped that in VersaFine Onyx Black ink. And then my card base is a Gina K Designs A2 sized card base in Passionate Pink. And now I'm just going to adhere my tulip panel down to the front of my sky panel with my A2G gun. So pretty straightforward, nothing fancy happening there. And then I am going to take the second from the largest die set in the Elizabeth Craft Designs stitched rectangles dies, and I'm going to die cut those two panels out at once to get a border all the way around on the card panel front. And I'm just using some paper tape to hold the die in place, and I will run that through my Gemini. And there you see it done. It did get a little bit bent on the top. Not sure what happened there. My plates might be getting a little old in my Gemini. But, you know, it is what it is. Handmade card, right? So little imperfections kind of make it what it is. So I'm just going along the edges there with my ATG gun, and then I will adhere it down in the middle or front of the card base. And it gets about a 1/4 inch border all the way around with that die once it's cut out. Now I'm going to pop my greeting up in the center with some foam circles from scrapbook.com. I go a little bit nuts on the foam, as I have mentioned in other videos, but I like to make sure that it's going to stay all popped up in the mail. So I'm going to adhere this right in the middle. Fortunately, it is a tiny bit crooked, but oh well, handmade, right? And now I added some detail to the baskets of these hot air balloons. They stamp all in one color, and I used 2 of my Marvy La Plume markers in sepia and brown to just color in the baskets on the balloons, just to make them a little bit more dimensional. And I thought it turned out pretty nicely. The green one that I'm adhering down now is in Gina K Designs Apple Mint. I stamped that in Apple Mint. The pink one is Catherine Pooler's Be Mine ink, and the orange one is the same as the tulip details, which is Pinkfresh Studio's Apricot ink. And I thought it was nice to have kind of a variety of colors that coordinated well with the tulip field that I had already done, as well as the background of the card. So that's why I chose those colors. Now, as a final touch, I am taking my Tonic Nouveau glitter drops in Yellow Bird, and I am just dotting them around randomly on the tulips, the yellow tulips. Not on every one. I'm just being really random about it. And then I am squishing those drops down with a Q-tip. I did not want like little dots. I wanted it to be more like a sheen over some of the tulips. So that's why I'm squishing them down with my Q-tip. And it actually was a little bit like some of them stay like dots for longer than you would think. So I had to really go in and kind of squish them down well. It's a very subtle effect. And then I also added some glitter drops in Summer Sunrise to the orange balloon. And I take a very tiny, very stiff brush and kind of smooth the glitter out on the stripes of that balloon, just to create a little bit of visual interest and visual separation for that one balloon. And it's hard to see, but it is there, and it's very pretty in person. And that is the completed project. See, super beginner friendly, and a really, really pretty stamp set. You can see how it's kind of an impressionistic look, like it's not super realistic, but really fun and really easy to put together. All the elements came in the stamp set, and just a little bit of die cutting for some extra pizzazz, and that was it. So I hope I have inspired you to try out the Hero Arts Tulip Field stamp set. Thanks so much for watching. As always, supplies are linked in the video description and over on my blog. If you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment, because I love hearing from you. And if you have not subscribed to my channel yet, I'd appreciate it if you would do that as well. Thank you so much. Have an amazing day.